Let's get this group started. Group B is about to get underway from Jeddah. As we saw in race number 1 and group number 1, Group A, it was an absolute barnstormer. Let's hope for something similar here. As we come around the final corner, we are ready to go. Williams Sim Racing certainly having the best qualifying session. What are they going to see in the race, and how are they all going to get through this first chicane safely as Max Benneker brings them up towards the start-finish line and will have control of the field, ready to go whenever he would like on the inside line in towards turn number 1. And Pavlovsky does react well. Is he going to make it 3 wide with the 3 teams in Group B? Maybe, as he looks to the inside. No, he takes it cautiously. Outside line for Dominic Blyer, who's going to have the inside for turn 2. Benneker on the outside line. Can he hold on with that pole position as Yuri Kastov leaps over the curbs into the side of Lemonek and Balenciatis, it looks like, through that first chicane. They all single file themselves out. It's Benneker, Blyer, Pavlovsky, and then the mess in the background. 3 wide, it looked like, just briefly there, as Schoninger and Kastov get involved. A big slide for Kastov. He's going to be okay to get into 9th place by the looks of things. He's still side by side with Daniel Pastor, who flies through.
Yeah, they do not. They are not leaving anything on the table in this first sector, especially Mouse towards the back. They've really got to fight their way forward in the early stages of this race. Really brave stuff from Dennis Schoninger and Yuri Kastov as well, but really maturely held there from Lemonek and Balenciatis towards the front end of this train. Maximilian Benneker, though, doing everything he needs to do at the front to consolidate that race lead for Mouse. Blyer as well, giving it a go, keeping him honest and trying to break away from Pavlovsky behind.
Not an excellent start, unfortunately, for Mouse. Schoninger and Kastov and Lerner all outside the top half at the moment, and Kastov was the one going backwards. We saw the side-by-side battle with Pastor, and then Tazela just took advantage, moved straight into 9th place. It's pretty close between Pfeffer and Balenciatis out front here, by the way, and same for Pavlovsky as well. But we're looking here at Kastov trying to regain those places. On Thomas Tatler, he's not going to manage it into turn 22.
Yeah, not quite close enough. There's the 77 green and white Porsche, of course, of that's Thomas Tatler, the Finn, now leading Yuri Kastov, who again is, well, trying to get Mouse a couple more points in this race. At the moment scoring 2 compared to Benneker, who's at the moment scoring 20 and commanding this race towards the front. Into the heavy braking zone of this final hairpin once again. You can see there Moritz Lerner taking a late apex. Let's take a look at the start.
Let's have a look at turn 4. This is the dive down the inside from Schoninger, and then off the road for Lemonek to keep that place. That's Tobias Pfeffer, who had a big slide, but he's still 4th. He just about saved it and kept that 4th position for the moment. Schoninger again side by side, this time with Lemonek. Whoa, that's too late on the brakes from Dennis Schoninger, who goes straight across the first chicane, and he's going to have to give that back, but it could get awkward here as Pastor gets up close. He's not going to give it back. That one's going to be talked about. Dennis Schoninger gained a place certainly off the circuit there.
Yeah, definitely keeping an eagle eye on the stewards report for Mr. who's reporting what and who's unhappy with what as well. But if he does need to give this back, it's a really awkward track to be giving away places, especially with so many cars so closely packed. If you have to let tap to the barrier there as well from Lemonek, and that is going to put him off guard. That's going to allow Daniel Paschal to have a look. He taps the wall himself.
And Schoninger was slowing down there. There's going to be carnage here as they come up into the bottom of the circuit. Schoninger slowing down, and Pastor doesn't realise he's going to get stuck behind him here, round the outside for Lemonek. He's going to go through, big slide. He somehow saves it on the outside as well. He's got his teammate Tatler, who's sliding as well, bumping, barging, and they're all over the place here. Schoninger's still 7th somehow. Tatler keeps the place as well in the background. Moritz Lerner gets past Jakub Masiewski. They go side by side as well. They single file it out. How are we still all pointing the right way?
Somehow these drivers have kept it on the limit. In fact, just a little bit over the limit, and yet still no tears have been cried. Though Dennis Schoninger with a good run here now towards the next chicane. Looks to go to the left. Not really a place you want to make a move, but he's going to go for it anyway. The number 9 machine muscles the Porsche off wide, and that is Lemonek trying to muscle through. It's opened the door though for Thomas Tatler. More contact with the barrier.
Tatler's going to follow straight through here, and he's going to go to 6th place. Pastor on the outside. The Mounts are boxed in here on the inside line. He's going to have to be outside for these guys, maybe 3 wide coming into the final corner. Where do they all go? How do they all fit through here? Bumping again. More contact between these guys through the final corner. Tatler and Lemonek come out with the first 2 places. Then it's Schoninger and Pastor side by side next involved. Maybe 3 wide in the background. Masiewski trying to get past both Mouses in front of him, and he's going to make it 3 wide in towards turn 1.
These are crucial points as well, and this is only race 1 of the group, but this is how much it means. Late on the brakes into the first chicane, side by side between Williams and Mouse, and a spin there for the 11 of Lemonek, and that's going to cause carnage behind. try and spread the group out ever so slightly, but two Maus going side by side as well. That's Morris Lerner and Yuri Kazdop. Jakub Maciejewski trying to get involved into turn number 4. They're single file for the first time in about 20 corners or so, and this is an electric start to this race.
Tatler is clear, so it's the battle for 7th now, but Przemysław Lemonek has lost a lot of positions in that one, and that is not good news for Team Falcons, who are just starting to slip and slide in the standings. Williams and Maus are the first two at the moment in the point standings, with advantage going to Williams, I think just because they're all in the top 7, despite the fact Max Benneker is winning this race. And if Dominic Blyer can overturn that advantage, what a first race this could be for Williams Sim Racing.
Yeah, really cement themselves, similar to what Vitality did in Group A as well. Williams have put themselves just a little bit above the rest of the group in terms of that consistency. If Pajor can get through on Thomas Tatler, but he's about 1.5 seconds back now, it's going to be difficult. But what it has allowed to do is Baleziotis, Pfeffer and Blyer are now fairly comfortable in their respective positions.
I mean, pick the bones out of this. 3 wide in towards the first corner. I think that's Pajor and Kazdor, maybe. 3 wide, that's hard to call. It feels to me like there was always going to be some sort of contact there, and racing incident maybe, but we'll see what the stewards decide. There was just too many cars going in towards turn 1.
It really was just a case that you're trying to fit, you know, what was 6-7 cars into a very tight and twisty turns 1 and 2. Realistically, is never going to work. This is the fight for the lead, by the way. The number 10 blue Mercedes of Dominic Blyer chasing down Maximilian Benneker. Dominic Blyer, by the way, the most successful driver around Jeddah in terms of race wins and points scored. So he's looking very strong in the slipstream of Maximilian Benneker and trying to spoil the day for Maus even further. Tobias Pfeffer on the back of Kamil Pawlowski as well to get Williams what could well be a double podium.
Yeah, Falcons are very much being propped up by Pawlowski at the moment, the only driver on the podium. In fact, we've got all 3 teams with a driver on the podium at least. There's some more movement in the background, all sorts of changing going on in that battle for 7th again. Daniel Pajor wasn't able to keep Yuri Kazdor right behind him, and indeed the rest of them as well. They've all barreled in towards turn 1 together by the looks of things, maybe on top of each other, we'll see in a little bit of time, but there they go. Kazdor leads them out, followed by Pajor, Lerner, Maciejewski, Schoninger and Lemonek all in one go. They cannot seem to separate themselves, these 6.
No, absolutely not. They've been just locked together for the entirety of the race. Of course, the carnage has allowed people like Tatler to get away and break free of this battle, which is ideal for him. Yes, it's P6. It's not the best points in the world, but it's something, and it means he's no longer involved in all of this. Seems for the last lap or so, they've sort of calmed down, but Yuri Kazdop at the moment in 7th. Have they now got the message to try and catch for more points in this race? We've still got half of it still to go, only on lap 4 of 8, so you know, still got a decent amount of time left to go in race number 1 of Group B. However, so far the story of this pack has not been anything about mutual understanding and working together. It's how many points can I get in how little time it can happen.
I think, yeah, forget about it. As far as teamwork goes, it's going to be very, very difficult in terms of catching anybody else up in front. Although this is the battle for the bottom 6 places, it's the most interesting by far, and Lerner there did not take enough speed in towards turn 22. That's Jakub Maciejewski, who's all over his tailpipes now and looks to the right-hand side to try and get some sort of a slingshot. Here comes Schoninger in the meantime as well. Doesn't want to show him the inside line going into turn 27 as they look up in front at Pajor trying to attack Kazdor. 3 wide in the background. Big defence from Lerner. Maciejewski in a Maus sandwich going into the final turn, and it's Schoninger who's going to come out with 10th maybe.
Yeah, sandwiched by the 2 Maus cars there was Maciejewski. He's now been able to come out unscathed, just about. No contact with the barrier.
Oh.
However, the Falcons car having to tuck back in. I think that's the fight for the lead a little bit further up. In fact, no, that's Pajor on the back of Yuri Kazdop going in towards turn number 1. We're following that now. Little bit deep there from Yuri Kazdop, and that's just allowed the 74 of Pajor to close the gap ever so slightly. A bit of bump drafting, though, could well allow them to sort of get out of touching distance from Lerner. But you have to probably guess that Kazdop is doing everything in his power to allow Lerner and Schoninger to have a go at P8.
He's doing a little bit of a strange thing at the moment, Pajor, by working together, but it could work with Kazdor. A little bit wide there from the Dutchman, but he just pulls it back in time there for that late apex. And I'm not sure he quite kept his wheels over the curves there, but you do get different strikes as far as track limit goes, so you don't have to worry about it every time, but if you do too many, of course, you will be. There's Pawlowski, Pfeffer and Baleziotis, 3rd, 4th and 5th for the moment. For now, Williams just seem to be consolidating what is a decent haul from race number 1.
Yeah, indeed. So just seeing as well on the stewards form, there is an investigation taking place between Lemonek and Pajtor on lap 3. So the first 2 laps, they were just like, yeah, cool, whatever, it's fine. However, lap 3, that is under investigation. We'll update you, of course, as to where stewards' inquiries and things and penalty points are being applied, because so far this race has definitely caught the eye of the stewards. Laps 5 of 8, and at the moment it is very much heating up. Looking back from Kamil Pawlowski, it's Tobias Pfeffer and BS+COMPETITION as well for 4th and 5th. Williams are looking incredibly strong here for race 1 at Jeddah.
There is the Falcons key, and there is Tomislav Lemonek, Lemon as we called him. It's one LAN event. He turned up with bleached blonde hair and he looked like Eminem. But there you go. He's currently running in the last position in this race, unfortunately, down towards the back end of the field for Falcons, who at the moment I think are still scoring the least amount of points of anybody as well in this race so far. Down in towards turn number 1 again, and again there's working together a little bit more in the background, so not too many moves happening here now. Lerner and Schoninger definitely working together. Pajtor seems to have befriended Yuri Kasdorp as well, and they're running away from the other 4.
Yeah, they are indeed. Again, I don't think just want any part of it. And especially as well, Williams and Maus know that Falcons realistically aren't much of a threat to them, and at least in their head that's what they're going to be thinking. Don't really want Maciejewski and Lemonek to be picking up any more points, already with Pawlowski and Tartler in decent positions in 3rd and 6th as well. So maybe a mutual understanding there to try and go and catch the fin of Tartler, at least momentarily. Of course, not long left to go in this race, so if there is any point where sort of it gets to lap 7, they're not catching that, then when we'll see Pajtor start to make moves on Yuri Kasdorp, and then on the flip side of that, the Dutchman backing them up into his teammates of Moritz Lerner and Dennis Schoninger in 9th and 10th as well. Lap 6 of 8, and we've had a bit of everything so far in this race.
So I'm just watching that onboard there, admiring the first sector of this circuit. It's an amazing section of corners in a GT3 car especially. The commitment through there, the lack of room for error. It's an amazing opening section to this racetrack as we go on board with Don Blyer, still in 2nd, but early on, I must say, I thought he was just waiting behind, waiting for the latter laps. Now I get the feeling he might be struggling to keep up with Maximilian Benneker at the moment, who is leading this race and has done since the very start.
Yeah, it's a difficult sort of dilemma for Dominic Blyer, right? Is it a case of can't catch or won't catch? Because very quickly, you know Maximilian Benneker, especially with his teammates in 7th, 9th and 10th, is going to try and defend this lead with everything he's got, right? You get 20 points for a win, and that's already most of the way, or at least a good chunk of the way, into getting yourself ahead of MSI in terms of not finishing last and going straight home. So Benneker is going to defend that lead. I think Blyer is waiting for an opportune moment, maybe just sitting in the rear view of Maximilian Benneker, applying some psychological pressure to bait the German into a mistake.
No chance in towards turn 1, but if that was the last lap, would he have gone for it, I wonder? Williams at the moment are in a good position in terms of points, and they won't want penalty points or indeed Blyer to spin round, because that would cost them an awful lot. However, I just wonder at 0.2 of a second where the next lap Blyer is going to give that a go.
Could well do, I think, definitely with the stage ramping up, but equally P2 has decent positions and consistent across the board. It's a lot to throw away at the expense of maybe just gaining 4 points. Still a lot and could be the difference, but is it worth the risk? That's something that the driver of Dominic Blyer is going to be going through his head. There's the 35 of Tobias Pfeffer leading the charge with teammate BS+COMPETITION to try and get after Kamil Pawlowski for the final place on the podium. Bit further back as well, we've got the 30 of Jakub Maciejewski, second last on this race, only scoring 1 point for his team. This 2-pack of Falcons, Maciejewski and Lemonek, really need to be starting to make some dents into Maus and demote them a couple of points.
Yeah, just 25 points being accumulated by Falcons at the moment. That would be enough to get ahead of MSI on average, to get them ahead in the last chance qualifier. However, because in case you weren't with us earlier, they need to score 56 points or more. Not sure what happens if they tie. We need to check that, but we'll hopefully not have to cross that bridge, and Falcons will be hoping they don't have to as well, so they can stay in the competition. Look at that, Don Blyer gets close into turn 22. How can he apply the pressure here as the last lap looms here at Jeddah?
Yeah, we'll see, of course. It's going to be a slipstream all the way down to the final corner, but does he want to go for it here, knowing there's a long pit straight going in towards turn number 1? He knows this. Don Blyer, very, very strong race driver. He really is consistent. Is he going to go for move into the final corner? Not quite, but takes a really wide line, tries to send Beneke in wide, takes a nice late apex, get the foot down, and now onto the final lap of the race. Can Blyer contest for the lead?
Beneke went on a defensive line there, and it looked like it might have just hurt his run onto the front straight, but he did park it on the apex quite well. Blyer now is going to be forced to the inside. Max Ross to the inside for the second part. Let's see what happens here in the end of race one. Very late on the brakes from Beneke. Can Blyer fight his way around the outside here? Oh, it's off in turn 3 as well. As for the third position, as Pavlovsky holds on, but the battle for the lead still going on here. In towards turn 4, it's going to be a big squeeze. Can Blyer get himself through? They somehow remain side by side. He needs to stay around the outside here to get the inside the next part. He does. They're still going for this through sector 1, and Beneke holds on again.
That was incredible from Maximilian Beneke, but it takes two to tango. Great mutual respect between two fantastic drivers here in R1. Section of circuit you do not want to be going side by side. It's almost a guarantee for something to go wrong, but they've kept it clean, hard but fair. Now with just 2/3 of a lap left to go, what can Don Blyer do? And also the drama in behind with Tobias Pfeffer going straight onto the chicane. Pavlovsky doing a great job at hanging on to that third place.
Yeah, not sure what went on there, but Pavlovsky certainly is defending well. Blyer now, though, has got one more chance to try and overtake Beneke. Is it going to be turn 22? Or 27, it's not going to be anywhere before or after that. Blyer's not got a very good run out of that corner, I've got to say. And turn 22 is looking off the table here.
Yeah, it is. He's not quite close enough. It's a long stretch, and even then, turn 22, a very fast left-right chicane. It's all about more, not going for the move into the corner, but getting the drive coming out to maybe contest going into that final corner. Beneke with a very sort of tentative line through, not taking many risks, but the gap at 0.5 of a second going to be incredibly difficult now for Dominic Blyer to close that gap. He's still going to give it everything. That slipstream down towards the last corner definitely going to help, but it seems that Beneke might just be able to hang on here.
He just had a glance there up to the left-hand side of his screen just to check the gap was big enough, and it certainly is. Max Beneke comes out of the final corner, and he's going to win race 1 in Group B for the first time since the online rounds. Just his second victory in 2025. Maximilian Beneke wins for Maus here at Jeddah after fighting off Dominic Blyer. Kamil Pavlovsky finishes in third place. All 3 teams with 1 representative on the podium, but for Maus, it's Max who is certainly the standard bearer for them. He wins race 1 at Jeddah.
Fantastic stuff there from Beneke, and he's the second